August the 28th, 2019. Guys, you're looking at St. John. This is in the Virgin Islands, and this is west of Puerto Rico. In other words, a storm is getting there, and it's not really going to impact Puerto Rico like they were thinking about. It's moving a little further north. But, guys, it's 60-mile-an-hour winds. Think about this doubling at 120-mile-per-hour winds, and we could very, very easily see this. This is White Bay. All of this is U.S. Virgin Islands, just, again, to the west of Puerto Rico, kind of hanging out by themselves. But these pictures should remind boaters. Again, this is tropical storm. You go into a Cat 2 hurricane, guys, it's not going to be like this. It's going to be way worse. There's going to be boats breaking off anchorage, damage on shore. But, again, guys, this is just as it's getting to 60 miles an hour, regaining that speed. You can see the boats rocking and things like that. But for my friends in Florida and along South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, look at these images. Because there's a couple of models now that shows the storm coming further north than Florida and impacting into the Carolinas. We will look at those models. And again, I just wanted to go through some of the Virgin Island webcams here. Many of these are very popular tourist areas, and you can see it definitely is picking up. It's getting to the point now to where you really don't want to be out in it, and maybe it will get past these guys pretty quick. And we're going to look at the different images that we're dealing with. Top left, tropical storm Erin is now tropical depression Erin. As you can see, just as in this morning's video, the center of circulation is spinning out above it, moving northeast. It's been reformed late in the afternoon, and the wind shear is getting it. Now, just Puerto Rico is the large island just in front of the storm, and the little dots there, right in this area, in that northwest quadrant, is why I was focused on those islands and those webcams. So somewhere along our east coast, the storm is going to impact at about double the intensity, at least, of what you're seeing now in the Virgin Islands. Again, very small islands, and some of the views that you were seeing were on the other side. It wasn't straight out into the incoming storm. Here again, tropical depression now, Erin. Notice not much has changed here. Maybe a little slight further north, and then all of these models stop at the Florida coast. They have the entire time. Think about this. Saturday morning at 2 a.m., Sunday morning at 2 a.m., Monday at 2 a.m. These are night times. This is 2 hours after midnight, okay? Coming in at night. You don't want to play with a storm. We're starting to see some of the models. The Navy model is doing a curve just before it gets to Florida. But some of the other models are still showing it come across the panhandle. But everything is drifting further north, and we're going to look at some of those models. So my friends in Georgia and the Carolinas, pay very close attention to the storm, okay? You've already been through enough, but the models are changing. Now, they're going to change day to day, but the reason they're drifting further north is they're looking at that front that's just above it, coming off the east coast. And here's some of your radar images. Notice where it says Road Town, that's the Virgin Islands. That's your loaded side of the storm. It always is, your northeast quadrant. Now, just quickly, tropical depression Erin as of 11 a.m. Still pretty much the same modeling. Now, the center of circulation that's out in front of the cloud cover is still moving to the west-northwest. Now, this is a Canadian model, and it shows it still impacting Florida, not getting into the Gulf, but coming in around Lake Okeechobee, moving north up through Georgia and the Carolinas back out to sea. This is the global forecast model. It's not going in at Florida, guys. It's coming into South Carolina and raking the entire coastline. Again, there's a front coming off the coast of the U.S., and that will determine exactly where it goes. Again, GFS model not quite into Florida, although it's going to rake the top half of Florida just offshore, according to the model. Now, this is what's called Wave Watch 3. It also shows that same track coming right in. The coast of Florida is really going to catch some of this weather. Now, this is going into the European models. Now, these get updated at different times. They don't all change at the same time with the U.S. models. But, guys, again, we have to watch from Florida up into North Carolina, anywhere in that area, and then depends on where it turns and how much of the coast it rakes. Either way, high wind, Category 2, with a lot of rain. You can have power outages, storm surge, things like that, wind damage, possible tornadoes and water spouts. But we're watching it, guys. You watch it. Check for updates. As we get closer to this storm, we're going to start doing some live feeds. So heads up. Be safe.